What's going on, good people? First, want to start off by saying that I miss y'all and I love y'all, and I hope y'all have a great day today. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Today, we're going to continue talking about imperialism. We're going to talk about imperialism in Asia first, and then we'll talk about some American imperialism. So let's get started. Avatar. Now, we may have been talking a little bit about this in class. This is the best example of imperialism I can give you. If you actually complete the blend space, you'll see why. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it right now. All right. So we talked about the first continent that we wanted to be imperial powers with, and that was Africa. The European powers who carved up Africa also looked elsewhere because, again, you got to remember, there's not unlimited amount of resources in the world. So these Europeans are trying to get resources and raw materials from wherever they can get them, and they think that Asia has a large supply as well as the Middle East of raw materials. Um, I want you to think, how many of you would live here right now? A lot of you are probably thinking like, "Oh yeah, I definitely live there." And if I ask you why, it's probably going to be because of where it's located. Because it's by the water, it's by the beach, it's a beautiful view. Well, that is called geopolitics. And that is the first thing you want to write down. Geopolitics is an interest in or taking of land for a strategic location or products. And that's going to play an important role with how Europe decides to take over certain places as well as the Ottoman Empire. So in 1853, war is going to break out between Russia and the Ottoman Empire. And that's the first beef you kind of start really seeing between two countries over land. It's called the Crimean War. Um, Britain and France wanted to prevent the Russians from gaining control of additional Ottoman lands, so they kind of backed up the Ottomans. So it's going to kind of be a tug of war between all these different countries over land. That's all you want to know from that. You don't have to write any of that down, but just keep that in mind because that's going to start simmering and lead to World War One. So Egypt, all right, one of the first Middle East countries. So the Muslim leaders see the slow decline of the Ottoman Empire and how they're struggling with Russia. They also see the slow decline of a lot of Middle Eastern countries and African countries, and they realize that their countries are either going to have to adjust to the modern world or be consumed by it. Now, again, you want to remember when I say modern, I mean countries that are industrialized. So Muhammad Ali, you want to write him down, and this is not Muhammad Ali the boxer. He's a leader of not ancient Egypt. He's a leader of Imperial Egypt. He's going to reform Egypt, modernize it, all right? And he's going to agree with European powers to serve as their ruler. Now, honor students, you should know that that means what type of control? Indirect, all right? So if Muhammad Ali is controlling for Europeans, then he's an indirect controller. Europeans are in indirect control. Now, the British also turned their eyes to Persia. They wanted to exploit Persia commercially, which means financially, and bring that country under their spheres of influence. You want to write spheres of influence, all right? This is kind of like when we talked about Rome. You created a sphere, and y'all know what a sphere is. It's a shape, and you create this atmosphere where people wanted to be a part of your country. So you didn't have to bring all the guns and go in there and literally take over a country. You made them, hey, you want to be a part of Britain. We're industrialized. We have this. And being naive, these countries are like, yeah, we do want to be industrialized. We do want to own things like guns and clothes and factories to mass produce things. So yeah, we'll let y'all rule us. So they created spheres of influence. So one thing this is going to lead to is the Sepoy Mutiny. You want to write the Sepoy Mutiny down. All right. So the British are going to take over India. They're going to go in India. They're going to stay there for a long time. Um, it's going to lead to the rise of Gandhi because they're going to be there so long. But in 1857, a mutiny. Have y'all ever heard of a mutiny? If you heard of a mutiny, that's like a revolt or a rebellion against your leaders. So if the British leading, they're having their troops there, they're leading that country, and they're turning their Indian soldiers into soldiers for that country. Gossip is going to start spreading amongst the sepoys, though. When you hear that word sepoys, that means Indian soldiers. You probably want to write that down. A sepoy is an Indian soldier. So, gossip spread amongst the sepoys that the cartridges of their new Enfield rifles were greased with beef and pork fat. And to use the cartridges, soldiers had to bite off the ends, meaning they were going to have to put it in their mouth. Well, both Hindus, all right, who consider the cow sacred, and Muslims who don't eat pork, all right, are going to be outraged because they feel like that's a slap in the face. You're disrespecting our religion. So the next day, the soldiers said, "We're not taking those guns. We're not biting off those cartridges and going against our religion." So then they throw them in jail. Well, everyone else gets very upset. Like, you're not just going to come here and it's one thing to control us, but now you're forcing your religious views on us. And they actually have a mutiny. May 10th, 1857. These sepoys rebelled. They marched to Delhi, where they were joined by other Indian soldiers stationed there, and they're going to capture that city. And the rebellion is going to spread to northern and central India, and they're going to take India back for a while until the British has to send their soldiers to kind of straighten things out. This is just a portrait, a famous portrait of the Sepoy Mutiny. So the British went in. All right, they realized that they needed to take full control, and they're going to have full control between the years of 1757 and 1947. Of course, there's going to be a time where they struggle for control. If you go back to here and look at the 1857, so there are going to be some years where they struggle, but for the most part, they're going to have full control of India. That's known as the Raj. You want to write that down, Raj. Raj is the era where they have full control in India. Um, the problem for the British is it's going to lead to a great sense of nationalism for the Indians. The Indian National Congress and Muslim League are going to form, and they're going to continue to fight for Indian concerns and self-governance. And once again, it's also going to lead to the rise of Gandhi. All right, that's it. Um, look forward for your next notes.